You're lying in bed, exhausted after a long day, ready to fall asleep. The room is silent. Your phone is beside you. Everything is peaceful. Then, without warning, your brain opens a door you never asked it to open. Suddenly, you're no longer in your bedroom. You're back in a classroom where everyone laughed after you gave the wrong answer. You're reliving the painful breakup that happened years ago. You're hearing the harsh words someone once said that you've never been able to forget. Your heart beats a little faster. Your chest feels heavy. Even though the event ended years ago, your body reacts as if it's happening right now. Why can one embarrassing moment survive for decades while hundreds of happy moments quietly disappear? Why does your brain keep replaying memories that only make you suffer? The answer begins with a surprising truth. Your brain was never designed to remember everything equally. If it did, your mind would become overloaded within days. Every face you passed on the street, every word you heard, every meal you ate, every step you took would compete for attention. Instead, your brain constantly decides what deserves to be remembered and what can safely be forgotten. It acts like the editor of a massive documentary, cutting thousands of ordinary scenes while keeping only the moments it believes are important. But here's the problem. Your brain doesn't define important the same way you do. It doesn't ask which memories made you happiest. To understand why, we need to travel back nearly 50,000 years. Imagine one of your ancestors walking through a dense forest. One afternoon, they eat a strange berry and become violently sick. Weeks later, they see the same berry again. Because the painful memory remained vivid, they avoid eating it and survive. Now imagine another ancestor who quickly forgets the experience. They eat the berry again. Their story ends there. Over thousands of generations, evolution rewarded brains that remembered painful experiences more strongly than pleasant ones. Forgetting a beautiful sunset had no real cost. Forgetting a dangerous mistake could cost your life. Slowly, your brain became a machine that treats emotional pain as valuable information. That ancient survival system still exists inside your head today, even though most of the dangers you face are no longer physical. Deep inside your brain are two remarkable structures that work together every time something emotional happens. The hippocampus records the details of your experiences, where you were, who was there, what happened. Nearby, the amygdala measures the emotional intensity of those experiences. Whenever fear, shame, heartbreak, embarrassment, or danger is involved, the amygdala sends an urgent message throughout the brain. This matters. Don't lose this memory. Stress hormones strengthen the memory, making it easier to recall later. It's almost as if your brain takes an ordinary photograph of the moment, then circles it in bright red ink and writes, "Never forget this." That's why painful memories often feel sharper than happy ones. It's not because your life has been mostly painful. It's because your brain stores pain in bold letters while happiness is often written in pencil. But here's where things become even more fascinating. Your brain does store memories like videos saved on a hard drive. Every time you remember something, your brain and fragments of information. In other words, remembering is not like pressing play on a recording. It's more like rewriting the story every single time. And every rewrite changes it slightly. Emotions from today mix with emotions from yesterday. New beliefs reshape old experiences. Small details disappear while dramatic ones become stronger. Over time, the memory may become less accurate but more emotionally powerful. You are no longer remembering only the original event. You're remembering every previous time you've remembered it. The memory grows stronger not because it is perfectly true, but because it has been replayed so many times. This explains why a single embarrassing moment from 10 years ago can still appear without warning. It isn't just the original memory returning. It's a deeply worn mental pathway that your brain has traveled hundreds of times. Imagine walking through a forest every day along the same route. Eventually, the path becomes smooth and obvious. Every other direction becomes difficult to follow. Thoughts work exactly the same way. Every replay strengthens the neural pathway, making it easier for your brain to find that memory again. Before long, the memory becomes automatic. You don't choose it. Your brain simply knows the route too well. This is also why emotional pain often feels timeless. Think about hearing a song that reminds you of someone you once loved. Within seconds, you're transported back to that period of your life. Your surroundings disappear. Your emotions return. For a brief moment, your brain struggles to separate memory from reality. That's because the same networks that helped create the original emotional experience become active again during recall. Your body responds as though the past has returned, even though only the memory has. The event is over, but the emotional circuit remains alive. Perhaps you've noticed something else. Your brain rarely replays ordinary Tuesday afternoons. It rarely reminds you of the day nothing unusual happened. Instead, it returns to moments of rejection, heartbreak, failure, humiliation, or loss. This isn't because your brain wants you to suffer. It's because, from an evolutionary perspective, those moments contained the most important lessons. Your brain believes that by replaying them, it is protecting you from making the same mistake again. It doesn't realize that sometimes the lesson has already been learned. It keeps repeating the memory long after it has stopped being useful. And that raises a profound question. If your brain is holding on to painful memories because it believes they keep you safe, why do they so often become the very thing that keeps you trapped? Why do some people spend years reliving moments they can never change? Why does the past sometimes feel more real than the present? The answer lies in one of the brain's most extraordinary survival mechanisms, a mechanism that can quietly turn memory into identity without you ever noticing. And once that happens, forgetting becomes far more difficult than simply moving on. The most dangerous thing about painful memories isn't that they stay with you, it's that, over time, they begin to tell you who you are. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack every single day. At first, you notice the weight. Months later, your body adapts, and you stop noticing it altogether. It's work in much the same way. At first, they are events that happen to you. But if your brain replays them often enough, they slowly become part of your identity. The memory of being rejected turns into, I'm not lovable. The memory of failing an exam becomes, I'm not smart enough. One betrayal becomes, people can't be trusted. One humiliation becomes, I always embarrass myself. The brain is constantly searching for patterns because patterns helped our ancestors survive. If a dangerous animal attacked near a river once, remembering that pattern could save a life. Unfortunately, your brain applies the same pattern-making system to emotional experiences. Instead of seeing painful moments as isolated events, it quietly turns them into beliefs about yourself and the world. They live inside them. Every time you replay a painful memory, your brain asks a silent question. What does this say about me? If the answer is negative, your brain begins collecting evidence to support that belief. Once your mind decides you're not good enough, it starts noticing every mistake while ignoring every success. Compliments are forgotten within hours, but criticism is remembered for years. Achievements are explained away as luck, while failures become proof of your limitations. Without realizing it, your brain becomes both the author and the audience of a story that grows darker with every replay. The tragedy is that the story feels like reality because you've heard it so many times. Trauma makes this process even stronger. During extremely painful experiences, the brain's normal memory system changes. Instead of storing the event as something that happened in the past, parts of the experience remain emotionally unfinished. A smell, a sound, a place, or even a familiar face can suddenly reactivate the same fear years later. This is why someone who survived a car accident may feel panic simply hearing tires screech. It's why a song can bring back heartbreak, or a certain perfume can remind you of someone you lost. These triggers aren't signs that you're weak. They're signs that your brain connected powerful emotions to specific details in an attempt to protect you from future danger. From the brain's perspective, remembering pain is safer than forgetting it. Your brain doesn't actually know the difference between remembering an event and experiencing parts of it again. In other words, every replay gives the memory new life. The past briefly becomes the present. This is why people can cry over someone they lost years ago or feel ashamed of something that happened in childhood. The calendar says the event is over. The brain says the lesson is still important. This is also why trying to force yourself to forget rarely works. Think about someone saying, "Whatever you do, don't think about a white bear." Instantly, the image appears in your mind. The harder you try not to think about it, the stronger it becomes. Painful memories behave in exactly the same way. Instead of deleting the memory, it keeps checking whether it's still there. Ironically, the fight against the memory often strengthens it. There is another reason the past refuses to let go. Your brain loves closure. When something ends without answers, a relationship, a friendship, a missed opportunity, a painful goodbye, it keeps returning to the event, searching for a conclusion that may never exist. It replays different versions of the past, asking endless questions. These questions create the illusion that the past can still be changed if you think about it long enough. No amount of thinking can rewrite yesterday. The only thing endless replay changes is today. But neuroscience tells a very different story. It is a living, changing organ. Every new experience, every healthy relationship, every challenge you overcome, and every new perspective literally changes the connections between your neurons. This extraordinary ability, known as neuroplasticity, means your past can influence you, but it does not have to imprison you. The pathways created by painful memories may be strong, but they are not permanent. So if your brain is capable of changing, if memories can be reshaped, if identity itself is more flexible than you ever imagined, then perhaps the biggest question isn't why your brain remembers the past. And in the final chapter, you'll discover why healing doesn't begin when the memory disappears. It begins when the memory finally loses the power to decide who you are. Imagine waking up tomorrow with every painful memory still intact. You still remember the heartbreak, the betrayal, the embarrassing moments, the failures, and the people you lost. Nothing has been erased. Most people believe healing means forgetting. They spend years wishing they could erase certain moments from their lives, believing that if the memories disappeared, the pain would disappear too. But your brain doesn't heal by deleting the past. It heals by changing the meaning of the past. Every time you remember an event, your brain briefly opens that memory, almost like opening a file on a computer.
During that short window, the memory becomes flexible before it is stored again. Scientists call this memory reconsolidation. It means your memories are not frozen forever. They are living stories that can slowly change as you grow. The facts of what happened may stay the same, but the emotions, beliefs, and conclusions attached to those memories do not have to remain the same forever. Think about a scar on your skin. The scar never completely disappears, but over time it stops hurting. It becomes evidence that you survived, not proof that you are still being wounded. Emotional memories can transform in exactly the same way. The event remains part of your history, but it no longer controls your present. The problem is that many people unknowingly keep reopening old wounds without allowing them to heal. They replay the same painful story every day while attaching the same painful meaning to it. Their brain never gets the chance to create a new interpretation. Imagine reading the same chapter of a book thousands of times while refusing to turn the page. Your brain simply became so focused on one painful chapter that it forgot there were hundreds of pages still waiting to be written. This is why awareness is so powerful. The moment you realize that your brain naturally holds onto emotional memories for survival, you stop assuming those memories define reality. Instead of asking, why can't I forget? You begin asking, what is my brain trying to protect me from? Awareness interrupts the automatic patterns that have been running your life for years. Suddenly, your painful memories become information instead of identity. There is another extraordinary truth. The brain changes according to what you repeatedly pay attention to. Every time you relive a painful memory, you strengthen that neural pathway. But every time you fully experience a new, meaningful, positive moment, you begin strengthening another pathway. Imagine walking through a forest. The path you've walked for years is wide and easy to follow. But if you begin walking a different path every day, the old one slowly fills with grass while the new one becomes clearer. Your brain works exactly the same way. What you repeatedly think, feel, and experience slowly reshapes the architecture of your mind.
This doesn't mean pretending the past never happened. It doesn't mean forcing yourself to just be positive. Pain deserves to be acknowledged. Grief deserves to be felt. Loss deserves to be respected. Healing isn't about denying your emotions. It's about refusing to let them become the only truth you believe. The strongest people are not those who never experience pain. They are the ones who refuse to let pain become their permanent identity. Perhaps the most beautiful realization of all is this. The person remembering the painful memory is no longer the same person who originally lived through it. You have learned new lessons, survived new challenges, met new people, gained new wisdom, and become someone your younger self could never have imagined. Yet your brain often keeps showing you old photographs and asking you to believe they represent who you are today. They don't. They represent someone you used to be. Every day you continue living, your story becomes longer than your suffering. So the next time your brain brings back an old embarrassment, an old heartbreak, or an old mistake, remember this. Your brain isn't trying to punish you. It's trying to protect you using survival software written tens of thousands of years ago. It doesn't realize that the danger has already passed. You can thank your brain for trying to keep you safe without allowing it to keep you trapped. Because healing doesn't happen when the past disappears. Healing happens when the past loses its authority over your future. One day you'll remember the moments that once made you cry, and you'll notice something extraordinary. The memory will still exist, but it will no longer define you. Not because you forgot, but because you finally stopped carrying yesterday as if it still belonged to today. So if there's one thing to remember from this documentary, let it be this. Your brain remembers the past to help you survive, but you were never meant to live there. Learn from it. Honor it. But don't build your future inside it. Because your greatest chapters have never been the ones you've already lived. If this documentary changed the way you think about your memories, share it with someone who may still be carrying a past they were never meant to carry forever. Sometimes the most powerful step toward healing isn't forgetting what happened.